Greetings of the day, everyone. Welcome to the series of lectures of EEG. Today we will talk about the brief overview of electroencephalography. Electroencephalography, or EEG, is a way to listen to the brain's electrical whispers. Instead of cutting open the skull, we place small sensors, called electrodes, on the scalp. These sensors pick up tiny voltage changes happening inside the brain. Therefore, electroencephalography (EEG) is a non-invasive technique used to record the brain's electrical activity by placing electrodes on the scalp. It measures voltage fluctuations produced by synchronized firing of neurons, mainly pyramidal cells in the cerebral cortex. Imagine you're at a football stadium. One person cheering is too quiet to notice. But if thousands of people shout together, the whole stadium shakes. EEG works the same way. A single neuron is too small to measure, but when large groups of neurons in the cortex fire in sync, EEG can capture it. Synchrony between the neurons matters. Most of this activity comes from pyramidal neurons, which are shaped like little trees and sit in the outer layers of the brain. When signals move through them, they create tiny positive and negative charges, like small batteries lined up together. EEG doesn't see the individual batteries, neurons, it sees the combined electrical field. Neurons send messages to each other using small electrical changes called postsynaptic potentials. These happen when neurotransmitters, chemicals, are released at the connection point between two neurons, the synapse. There are two main types: excitatory postsynaptic potentials and inhibitory postsynaptic potentials. Let's understand what is inhibitory postsynaptic potentials, IPSPs. Inhibitory neurotransmitters open gates that either let chloride ions in, negative charges, or let potassium ions flow out. Both actions make the inside of the neuron more negative. This is called hyperpolarization. This reduces the chance that the neuron will fire. Now, try to understand what is excitatory postsynaptic potentials, EPSPs. When excitatory neurotransmitters bind to the neuron, tiny gates open that let sodium ions, Na, rush inside. Because sodium carries a positive charge, the inside of the neuron becomes less negative. This is called depolarization. If enough excitatory signals add up, the neuron will fire and send its own electrical message forward. Think of it like a tug-of-war game. On one side, the excitation team pulls forward, trying to make the neuron fire. On the other side, the inhibition team pulls backward, trying to keep the neuron quiet. If the excitation side wins, the neuron sends a signal onward. If inhibition is stronger, the neuron stays silent. What EEG actually records is the overall outcome of thousands of these tug-of-war battles happening at once. It's not one single rope, it's a whole stadium filled with teams pulling in different directions, and the EEG shows us the average movement. Similarly, a neuron is always receiving both excitatory and inhibitory inputs from many other neurons at once. Whether it fires depends on the balance of these signals. If excitatory inputs are stronger, the neuron activates. If inhibitory inputs dominate, the neuron stays quiet. EEG doesn't measure a single neuron. Instead, it records the summed effect of thousands of neurons receiving these excitatory and inhibitory signals at the same time. So when we see a wave on the EEG, it represents the large-scale rhythm of this push and pull happening across the cortex. Our brain never sleeps on the job, it's always producing rhythms. At rest, especially with eyes closed, the brain often shows the posterior dominant rhythm, a gentle alpha wave from the back of the head. When you open your eyes or start thinking hard, these waves fade, replaced by faster beta waves. In contrast, during a seizure, it's like the stadium crowd suddenly chanting in perfect unison, loud, rhythmic, and abnormal. EEG can detect and locate these unusual bursts. EEG waveforms are grouped by frequency. Alpha waves, 8 to 12 Hz, the calm, relaxed rhythm. Beta waves, 13 to 30 Hz the busy, thinking rhythm. Theta waves, 4 to 7 Hz the drowsy, daydreaming rhythm. Delta waves, less than 4 Hz the deep sleep rhythm. Think of them like radio stations. Each frequency carries a different mood: calm, busy, sleepy, or deep rest. Switching mental states is like tuning the brain to a new station. As we grow, the patterns of brain waves seen on EEG change with both age and awareness. In babies and very young children, the EEG looks a little messy, the signals are broken up and irregular. But as the brain develops, these patterns gradually smooth out and become more steady and continuous. By the time a child is around 8 years old, a special rhythm called the posterior dominant rhythm is usually fully developed. This rhythm runs at about 8.5 cycles per second and is most visible when the child is calm with eyes closed. There's also a natural gradient in the brain. The front areas usually show faster rhythms, while the back areas show slower ones. This front-to-back difference is a normal feature of brain activity and helps us understand how different regions of the brain are working. Electroencephalography EEG is a powerful, non-invasive tool that allows us to observe the brain's electrical rhythms in real time. From the irregular, developing waveforms of infancy to the more stable patterns of adulthood, EEG reflects the brain's growth, state of alertness, and even abnormal activities such as seizures. By studying excitatory and inhibitory signals, as well as the balance between them, EEG helps us understand how neurons work together to create thoughts, behaviors, and states of consciousness. Ultimately, EEG not only deepens our knowledge of the brain but also serves as an essential tool in diagnosing and treating neurological conditions. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.